let's talk about Global South.
The Global South has always been a minor player. Global South, I think many of the population needs a quick paradigm shift, meaning they need to start thinking differently.
You are Boer from Namibia, with the roots from Europe.
Yes, and my ancestry is French, Dutch, a little bit of Danish, bit of Scandinavian, German, British. Russia to me is just a beautiful country. Everybody is always busy, going on the electric scooters, delivering something.
I think you can be sure that this is a tango which we would like to dance together.
You're welcome. When I look at how you presented your forum, we still have a little bit of practice to get there, but we'll dance the tango.
Thank you very much.
Zvezda Holding presents Dynamic Spectrum Talks now.
Hello, dear friends. This is Dynamic Spectrum Talks podcast. I am Anna Shafran, and this is a territory of free speech, a place where we talk to different people from all over the world, a place where we are trying to build bridges between peoples and nations. And today with us, a well-known radio presenter from Namibia, Cosmos radio station, journalist, reporter, radio anchor, and audio productions, JP Nel. JP, hello.
Thank you very much, Anna. It's an absolute fantastic honor and pleasure to be in Russia.
We are very glad to welcome you to Russia and to Nizhny Novgorod. We hope your trip went well.
Very well, very well. We've been extremely busy since we landed in Domodedovo airport. We came to Moscow. We've been running around from the Kremlin all the way to the Moscow River. We've seen almost everything which is Russia is well known for. I think I've got blisters on my feet from running around all day, and that's from Monday, Tuesday, and today also Wednesday. And now from Moscow, we came all the way to Nizhny Novgorod to the Global Digital Forum, which is absolutely fantastic.
So this is your first time in Russia?
First time in Russia. It's also a dream come true. It's always been a big dream to come to Russia. And finally, I was surprised in April, and I was told that I've been invited to come to Russia to visit. I'm very happy about it, very ecstatic, but it's always been a dream for me to come to Russia.
So as we said, we are currently in Nizhny Novgorod for a reason. The largest international event, the Global Digital Forum, is currently being held here. It brought together hundreds of specialists from all over the world, representatives of Russian and foreign IT companies, governments, authorities, and the scientific community. And so it happened that this forum became an alternative platform for free opinion exchange, gathering Russia and its friends, primarily countries of the Global South. Let's talk about Global South. What must we know first of all about it?
The Global South, the Global South is a wonderful place. It's very hot, unfortunately. Sometimes the weather is not always pleasant. Sometimes it is, depends. But the Global South has always been a minor player in the past 3 decades. And it's important to know that we want to become a major player. That's very important. What must we know about the Global South? The Global South includes maybe even South America, Southern Africa, and those areas need development. They need a great amount of development. We're a little bit behind the rest of the world, unfortunately, when it comes to especially digital development, automation, and e-governance, for example. That's another field we need to start specializing in, and production. But also the Global South, I think many of the population needs a quick paradigm shift, meaning they need to start thinking differently. And that's why we are in Russia, so we can discover how people can think differently.
So, and how people can think now in new epoch. We notice now that the world is changing, and we hope that it will not be like world we knew previously. What is this new world?
This new world is fascinating. I'm actually very happy it's happening, because before the special military operation happened, the world was sort of one global so-called village, but there were some partners that was taking advantage of other partners and not playing along very well. I'll be honest, it's free speech, so I can say, I think what I'd like to say, the West. The Western countries have not been playing fair with the global South, with the global East, and also the global North, which is Russia. And this, when I saw this first military operation, special operation happen, I was happy in a way, because I knew big change was coming and it was necessary, because the whole world is one monolith, it was one village, and it wasn't balanced. And now suddenly it's split up. It's now become almost bipolar, if you wish, or not bipolar is maybe the wrong word, but multipolar in that way, with countries like China and Russia and India leading one side, and other players as well. In the south, it's South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, SADC, and in South America, it's other countries like Brazil. And then you've got the global West, and the global West has always been the partner, so-called partner, that had the most weight, the most say, the most political power, and almost gave orders to the rest of the world. This one global village that they were talking about. And suddenly things shook up, and we've got now a multipolar world where the rest of the world said, we're not going to take orders anymore from the West. We're going to do our own thing. And the Global Digital Forum that we're attending in Nizhny Novgorod is an example of that, where Russia started their own initiative, the Global Digital Forum, and it is indeed global, because we've got many countries being represented here, including South Africa. I saw flags from in the display tables from Vietnam, China, South Africa, many other countries. So it's indeed global. It's, I think, 115 countries that are being represented here by their representatives, and agreements are being signed, cooperation deals, talks, and that's where we need to start. We need to start talking, and it's great to be a partner of Russia. Russia has always been, to me, a fascinating country. It's got over 1,000 years of history. It's one of the oldest cultures. It's also, for countries like us and the West, a mystery. Many people don't know what Russia is all about. You can go back to the Tsars, you can go back to the communist revolution with Lenin, you can go back to the age of the Vikings, and it's just such an enormous history. And it's always Russia has always been a mystery, and to me, that mystery I wanted to see for myself, and that's why I'm so happy to be in Russia first time. And I'm here in Nizhny Novgorod, and it's beautiful. And I've been in Moscow, completely different to what I thought it would be.
So, and our podcast is a territory where different peoples and nations are communicating with each other, and it's very interesting. You are Boer from Namibia with the
Yes.
roots from Europe.
Yes.
Now, do you feel yourself a part of the Western world?
In a way, I do. My heritage do come from Europe. Actually, the Boers in Namibia came from South Africa, and the Boers from South Africa came from Europe. And my ancestry is French, Dutch, a little bit of Danish, bit of Scandinavian, German, British, a little bit of Scottish, a little bit of Irish. So the Boers are a mix of Europe. I always make a joke with Europeans when I meet Europeans. I say, you are not the European Union. The Boers are the European Union, because we've got every nation of Europe in our blood in Southern Africa, but we live in Africa. And I think it was Jacob Zuma that once said that the Boers are the only white tribe in Africa, which is a great compliment coming from an African perspective. And we are very proud to be African on one side, but we're also very proud to be of ancient European descent and being Germanic as well. I study all of this, going back to European history, Russians being Slavic, Europeans being Germanic. We're brothers and sisters in that regard, to the ancient bloodlines. But yes, we are very proud to be both, but we are not both. We are sort of an independent force in Africa.
And it's very interesting. Sometimes it seems that you are Boers in South Africa, in Namibia, are much more closer to the real and true European culture. Why? Because of traditional values and so on. If we are comparing the situation which we have now in the European countries, is it right?
You are correct. What is happening in Europe now and the United States makes me very sad. Europe has lost a lot of its values, core values, good values of 100 years ago, hundreds of years ago. Those values are being destroyed slowly in Europe. And the Europe that now exists is not the Europe that my ancestors came from. And for us, it's sad to see that, but Boers have become very isolated as well. In South Africa, maybe not so much, but in Namibia, we live in our own little world. We pretend the rest of the world doesn't exist. We don't want the rest of the world to sort of trouble us. We don't want to be left alone. We want to farm and we want to do business and we want to enjoy our tradition and just be left alone. But I think that is not a good thing. I think the Boers now need to start opening their minds. They now need to start seeing the rest of the world, and they need to start engaging new partners internationally. And too much have we engaged the West, and too much have we been betrayed by the West in many ways, financially, as allies back in the past. And I won't go into details, but we have been betrayed over and over and over and left to hang. And I say, let's go to Russia. Let's make friends with Russia, because we can do business with Russia, vice versa. Business from Boers in Russia, Russians in Southern Africa. And I think it's time for us for Boers specifically in Southern Africa, to become less isolated and start joining the rest of the world, especially the new order coming, which is already here, and Russia being the big partner in that order.
So let's think a little bit in a philosophic view. Maybe we can a little bit dream about our close future. What do you think in this time, new moment, can South Africa, maybe such countries as Namibia, become a point of growth for the big West, if we are talking about values, for example, healthy traditional values? Because we understand that this ultra-liberal agenda is not this agenda which can help peoples and nations to go ahead with their civilization.
Yeah, I think this new global liberalism is an incredibly dangerous thing. Incredibly, it's eroding away values in the West, Europe. It's eroding values away in the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and I've seen the destructive power it has in a very subtle way. You will have feminist women who don't want children anymore. So no children, but we'll have cats, which is fine. It's your choice. You're free to do that. But then you have no population growth, and the world becomes less populated. And we actually do need more people. We do have a lot of people on the planet, but we need more people because people die, they get old. So you need to replace that generation with a new generation. And if you don't do that, society will start collapsing. But if you bring these children into a world where you have these different Western values, it's anti-growth, it's anti-life. That's the word I'd like to use. The Western liberal ideas are basically, when you sum up new global liberalism, it's anti-life. They want to destroy life. They don't want to create life. Whereas Russia, for example, and the Boer culture, the Afrikaner culture in Southern Africa have this very conservative value of family, and that's where it starts. I think one of your guests also said it needs to start at home, teaching children proper values, educating them in good manners and good value, core family value, a mother, a father, that unity within the family, strengthening the whole culture, and then having a spiritual base, a religion that you bind yourself to, whether it's being Protestant, whether it's Catholic, or whether it's Orthodox. Also, in my opinion, the Catholic Church are failing in Europe as well. So what's the alternatives? Being Protestant either, or being Orthodox. And those values tie a community and make it strong. I've seen it here in Russia. When I came here, it's such a strong country within. I was really surprised because since the special military operation, I was wondering, how do Russians feel? I'd like to see for my own eyes, how do they feel? And what does their country look inside after 3 years of the special operations, sanctions? And I came here, I was very surprised. I thought I would see a nation that was tired and don't want to fight and don't want to stand up. That's what I thought when I came here. It's the opposite. They are smiling, they are strong, they are happy, family values. And you know what's the most interesting I saw? Men, women. You see the clear woman, the feminine, and you see the clear masculine male. You don't see effeminate females or effeminate males like in the West. You've got lots of men that look like women and lots of women that look like men. In Russia, you don't see that. You see this clear, distinct value for culture and also men and women and healthy families and people that respect each other. I also saw that. Also respect for themselves, their families and their environment. And Russia is an absolutely beautiful country with good, strong, old-fashioned values, and that is what I like for my people and the reason why they should cooperate with Russia.
What we understand, we Russians understand about ourselves, we need fighting to develop ourselves. Really, this is our cultural code.
Yeah, and you're doing very well. I was really so surprised, and I think Russia needed this. Russia and the Russian people needed this. It has suddenly given them strength. It has given them self-determination again to move away from the new global Western ideas, which is not healthy for anyone. I think Russia sort of discovered that this is not going to work for us in a way, and we're pulling away. We're not going to be part of this monolithic world. We're going to create our own society. We're not playing along with the globalists anymore, and we are going to create a strong Russia. And Russia is a big country, and that's why the West is also, in my opinion, very jealous of Russia. Big country, healthy population, and growing and lots of resources. And that's why the West is not too happy with Russia and would like those resources. I'll be very honest. So I think what I've seen when I came to Russia, keep on fighting. Don't stop.
Thank you very much. We'll do, we'll try our best. And do you know, by the way, how an ordinary Russian man imagine for himself an ordinary Boer? An ordinary Boer for us is a real, true European.
Yeah.
You must give this impulse for those who now are living in the European continent.
And they don't like it. I've in the recent couple of months and years, I've spoken to Europeans. When I speak to Europeans, they are offended. They don't like what I say. They say I'm radical. They think conservative old values are radical. And I was shocked because what I say to me is normal. It's when I speak to you, these values we share as a Boer or a Russian are normal. We want healthy, good families, mother, father. When you say that in Europe, these people are offended. They don't like what you're saying and they call you radical. So for Europe, I don't know what I can say. I think there's hope for Eastern Europe. To wake up, just like Russia. And I think maybe the Western Europeans need a bit of a shock to their system. But I think they will learn this sooner or later when their economic system starts failing, when their power system starts failing. They will only learn it then.
To say the truth, I thought that now the majority of European population are people who are thinking in a normal healthy way, the people who are providing healthy values. So it's not true to your mind?
No, there are some Europeans who are following this.
But if you're talking about the majority.
Yeah, the majority, I don't know. The problem is, there are some, I've spoken to some, but they feel pressured. We must be quiet. We can't say anything. But also, Europe has two choices. Either they're going to have a lot of third world migrants come into their country, and the population of native Europeans will go down, and the migrants will go up, and Europe will be destroyed either that way, or the very maybe radical right wing will try to resist and there might be trouble in Europe coming. I don't know, the Europeans don't like me saying this, but I think they are going to create their own problems, and it's going to become worse and worse for them in time.
Who was this guy you mentioned? Maybe he is a liberal journalist from Europe.
No, some of them are just normal people that I talk to, but they're not used to. I spoke to German friends many years ago, and when you speak, they sit there and they look with big eyes, but they can't follow what you're saying. They don't understand what you're saying. They don't understand the old values. To them, it's now strange. To them, it's foreign. Everything has to be liberal. But there are many Europeans that are still conservative. There are many Europeans that try and get Europe to be fixed in many ways. But the thing is, I think there might be a lot of friction coming between these communities within Europe. Those trying to save Europe and those trying to destroy Europe.
Previously, we were talking with your colleagues, and they noticed very interesting thing: patriotism in Russia. And why it is interesting for us? Because for a very long time, we were thinking about us that we have big problems in this issue. We had a very long liberal epoch, and it was really a big question for us and big problem what we have to do to change this situation. Now, when you are in Russia, how do you see this situation? What is Russia, if we are talking about this?
Patriotism.
Yes.
To me, it was beautiful to see. I was in Moscow's underground, the metro, as they call it, and I could see people wearing the famous Z symbol, many of them. When we walked to the tourist area, the central business area for the tourists, the beautiful old buildings, you could see the war heroes being honored. In Russia, men are strong. You can see it. I looked a lot. You don't see fat people. There's not a lot of overweight people in Russia. Here and there I saw some, but not like in the West. When you go to the United States or you go to the West, there's a lot of people that's overweight. And in Russia, I didn't see this. I saw strong men, beautiful women, and it's very, very good to see. And they're proud to be Russian, and they want to be Russian. And many people I've spoken to, every time I speak to Russians, you can see they don't speak English always, and they're very proud of their language. They want to speak Russian. Just like us, the Boers in Southern Africa, we're not giving up our language. We're not giving up our culture. Afrikaners are known to react very violently if that core value is attacked. They really do. They don't like, they want to keep their religion, they want to keep their language, and they want to keep their culture. And it's the same for Russia. I see the same. And Boer men are the same. When you go to Southern Africa, they're strong, they like hunting, they like sport, they like outdoors activities. So it's in a way, Russian and Boer are very similar in many ways. And always I remind my own fellow Boers in Southern Africa, remember during the Anglo-Boer War, when the British Empire attacked the Boers, and there were two of those wars, the first Boer War and the second one, the Russians sent troops to help. Also the Scandinavians, we had other countries also, but the Russians also sent their contingent to come and help and fight. And we're very thankful for that. And we also have an old allegiance between Russia and the Boers that was sort of lost many years ago, decades ago. And I saw that, and I would like to reestablish that good connection, because Boers and the Russians are more similar than they are different. So I think we can work very well together, and we can cooperate very well in business, in trade, and in shared cultural and religious and spiritual values.
Why I asked you the previous question, because it's very important to have aside from outside, what is Russia?
What is Russia? Russia to me is just a beautiful country. The people are beautiful. You can see also they work very hard. When I got here, everybody is always busy, going on the electric scooters, delivering something.
Oh, we hate these electric scooters.
I know, I've noticed, but they're fun. In Africa, it won't work so well for us at the moment if we have these electrical scooters. But in Russia, people are always busy. And what I also notice in Russia is no one bothered me. no one would come and harass me or give me problems or anything like that. And when you greeted and you said privet or you said hi, and they would be nice and they would greet and move on. But you are not, no one troubles you here. And it's a lot of people, and I had no trouble. It was, especially in the old tourist area, it was beautiful. Some of the areas looked like you were walking in Paris. Or when Paris was still beautiful, now it's probably not. But it's beautiful restaurants, and it was fun. I was surprised. Russia is a country that I would like to come and live in, or it would be a country I would come and visit anytime, and I felt very safe as well.
So let's remember once again Global Digital Forum. As an independent journalist who has repeatedly spoken out in support of Russia, you have probably encountered difficulties in freely expressing your opinion in the English-speaking digital space many times. They may even have been hit by cancellations. Tell me, please, how is journalism, internet journalism in Namibia fighting this harmful trend today? And are there many people like you who don't follow the mainstream and contribute to that very digital sovereignty?
Well, I describe myself as a rebel. I'm always a rebel. I will be a rebel, and I'm going to die a rebel. So what I do is I don't fight these people. I just keep on doing it over and over and over. So I'll get the facts, I'll get the information, I'll get the story, and where I can, whether it's a small story or a big story, and I'll push it through. Now, I remember when the special military operation started between Russia or let's say between Russia and Ukraine. I said from the beginning that I know why this is happening. We know the reasons why it's happening. We won't go into detail well, but we understand from the past it's been happening for a long while, and it's being pushed by the West. And people in Namibia were very naive. They said, no, Russia is the bad guy. Not all people, but some people. I said, no, they're not. And I kept on pushing the story, and I would go to social events and be invited to people's houses and talking about it. And later on, they're like, no, we don't want to talk about it, because you give the facts and they see the facts. And then they have to think. And then they have to say, but we are wrong. And you are right, and we have to agree, and then I don't want to talk about it. So then my popularity became less. People didn't always like what I had to say. I wasn't always invited. This is on grass level. Then on, of course, our podcasts on YouTube was up for a day or two, then it was taken down. On Facebook, I put some posts, my own posts, because I thought they were good posts, and they were not taken down, but some were taken down and cancelled. I was warned by Facebook, I can't put this on. And then even people and friends and family and friends of friends would see my post and they get very angry. But you are a journalist, you can't take the side of Russia. You must be neutral. I said, no, democratically, and also not just democratically, but constitutionally, I have the right to have still my own opinion. Even if I'm a journalist, I can still take a side if I want to. If I believe that the facts are, or if the facts are on, or the morality of the situation is on this side, and they are right, and we know they are right. If you study history, we know Russia is right. And I'm not going to fall for the Western propaganda at all. And people didn't like that. But now it's 3 years later. Now people are waking up in Namibia and they're starting to see, oh, but maybe he was right. Maybe what he said was right. We should be a friend of Russia. But they don't want to admit it yet. But slowly they talk about it. And now that we are at the Global Digital Forum, I've finally got the opportunity to take out my camera and my cell phone and take pictures and post and send and place it on our social media in Southern Africa to show people Russia is not what the West in their media said it is. It is a beautiful country. It's a strong country. And we were right. And if you go and look at the history and you see what has happened, Russia is in its full right to defend itself and to do what it needs to do. And to be honest, yes, I've been given a lot of trouble about it, but I don't care. I just do it again and again until people listen.
But on the other hand, it means that you have a democracy in your country because
Yes.
you are still talking to
Yes.
people
Freedom of speech in Namibia is respected, and freedom of press is also respected. The problem is they don't repress you directly. If they want to repress you, they'll switch your platform off, or they won't give you airtime, or they'll just ignore you, or you won't be promoted. So it's done in a very subtle way. But Namibia still has a very high standing for freedom of press, freedom of speech, and we do believe in that. I think there's an old saying, it's an old American saying, when America was still many hundreds of years ago, still a good country in my opinion. They said that I may not agree with your opinion, but I will fight for your right to have an opinion. And that's freedom of speech.
Why I asked you the previous question, because it seems that in these circumstances, Europe is canceling itself because of canceling democracy.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I've seen it with many Europeans as well when I talk to them. They are too scared to talk. They don't want to talk. And even if they agree with you, they don't want to say they agree with you. And I've also noticed if you do say something and they are offended, then you actually have no opinion. It's only their opinion. It's only the neoliberal opinion that counts. Yours is radical. And it's immediately classed as radical. Therefore, you're out of the spectrum of free speech and you must go. But the spectrum in Europe is like very narrow. So the spectrum in where you can say something and be free to say that is very narrow. It's not a broad spectrum freedom speech anymore. So the whole mentality has made the spectrum very narrow, and therefore anything outside that spectrum has now become radical. And you can't, and especially traditional values. And especially if you say, I'm a Vladimir Putin supporter, or I'm a pro-Russian supporter, and I'm supporting what Russia is doing, that's a very narrow for them, so you're outside, which means you're radical. And it's not, and when your free speech band becomes smaller, then it becomes an automatically a dictatorship and not any more free speech or a free country.
So what we have in Europe now, in fact, liberal totalitarianism.
Yeah, that's basically what we have. Yeah.
Do you think they have chance to change?
I think they have. I think liberalism within itself is a weak idea. It won't last very long. It's not sustainable. It is not sustainable. Liberalism, I think, if you look at America with the West, I personally not a big fan of the current administration or any of the American administration, but the current administration, Trump, has shown that Americans are tired. They don't want this anymore. So it's a wake-up call. So it's happening, but it's happening very slowly. But in Europe, it is complete dictatorship of neoliberalism. It's authoritarian. It's really not free anymore. But they disguise it very cleverly. They make it look like it's free, but it's not really free. Because if you move out that spectrum and you have your opinion outside that spectrum, then you are radical, and therefore it's a dictatorship. It's no longer free.
And what about the chance for changing?
Changing in Europe is going to be very difficult. They're not awake yet, and not like Russia or the East or the Southern Hemisphere's power is also not quite awake. I think it's going to take time for Europe. The chance at the moment, I don't think is very good the way it's going. But I think there are some Europeans that might wake up. But unfortunately, it's like when a child touches fire, they first have to touch the fire to feel it burn before they learn the lesson of the fire.
What do you think? What we can do to improve the situation?
Talk to them. Keep on talking to them. That's what I do. With Europeans, I keep on saying the same thing, saying that standing by my point, standing by my moral values, standing by my viewpoint that I believe is not to do with right or wrong, is the right way to go. And it's the way that will save Europe. And you just keep on talking to them, engaging them. You don't have to fight them. You just keep on talking to them. And I once said, and I said to Europeans as well, I said, I have no problem with Europe. I love the European people. I am from Europe. My ancestors are from there. But you need new leadership. Your leaders are the problem. Like the European Commission, they've not been elected. The European Parliament selects these people. They are not elected democratically. And I think within the European Commission and within Europe, those leadership is the rotten apple in the core of the apple in Europe, not the people of Europe. I'm not anti-European. I don't even think the Russian people are anti-European. Or anyone is anti-European. I am very much against that little small rotten piece within Europe, which is the governing body of Europe. And those are people who have other ideas and other agendas. And it's the core of that apple that is rotten, not Europe. European people are not the enemy of Russia. Russia is not the enemy of Europe. Russia is not the enemy of America or anywhere else. We just all want to work together. But the rotten core within Europe, the rotten core within America and the West, they make propaganda to make it look like everybody is enemies. And I think, and I spoke to many European people, I said, you need new leaders. You need new government and new leadership in Europe. And just keep on saying that. Whenever I meet Europeans, I have my discussions with them. They get upset. Well, that's their problem. But at least I woke them up or try and wake them up.
So this is very important. You noticed the very important thing. It's a pity that Europeans, or maybe not Europeans, but European establishment, don't understand, or maybe they don't want to understand that Russian people really, it's true, like Europe and like European culture, and we understand that our cultures, European culture and Russian cultures, were developing very close to each other.
They are very similar.
And practically, Russian culture is part of a big European culture.
Yes,
if we are talking about this big territory from Portuguese to Vladivostok, for example, yes? But what do you think? Why do Europeans, some parts of Europeans, think that Russians hate Europe, want to fight with Europe, and so on?
Because they're being lied to. The media is lying to them, and it's propaganda. It's brainwashing. I spoke to
But this establishment, what do they think? Do they really believe in this?
No. They don't believe in it. They are looking for a reason so they can either fight Russia, so they can get their war machine going and make money out of it. It's all about money and power. And it's all about money and power. And this little group in Europe and in America is all about pushing war. It's all about pushing division amongst nations. Because if you divide, then you conquer. If you divide as a small group, and you go into a country and you divide those countries, or within the world, you can create friction. And the friction will then, in the end, cause wars, and you can make money out of wars. And that's what it's all about. It's about making money. It's about controlling populations. And they don't want European people to wake up. And like you said, when I came to Moscow and also to Russia, now for the first time, I've been in Europe before, and I looked at the Russian people and I thought there's almost no difference. The way the buildings are built, the way the culture is structured. Europe and Russia, same people.
By the way, a lot of foreigners say that Russians are very cold people. What do you think about it?
I did notice Russians can be formal. I wouldn't say cold, really. I would say formal. Very formal. I think Russians must smile more. Then we'll feel welcome. Boer people also, I smile a lot. I don't know about the others.
Maybe this is our profession.
I think it's
because of it.
Yeah. But I think if Russia, from my point of view, Russians, if you do meet foreigners, smile. But thus far, every time I spoke to Russian people, they would smile. But you have to first approach them and then speak and smile. And yes, I think it can be a misunderstanding that people might think Russians are cold because you mind your own business. When I was in Moscow the other day, I found that it looked cold, but then people would smile later on. So I think it's maybe just a mask that Russians have on.
The first sight. And the second is another.
Exactly. But the Russians I've met before in Namibia, fantastic people. Always love to have a good party, have lots of laughs. We always invite them for braais, or what they call barbecues. We have the vodka, of course, always, and it's a lot of fun. But I think if you make friends with the Russians and you start talking to them and you engage them, then it becomes more of a community, and then you understand each other. And I love the Russian culture. It's very beautiful to me.
I'm sorry, you have your own vodka?
Yeah, but our own vodka is not that good. Our vodka is made from potatoes.
But it calls vodka?
Yeah, it's called vodka. There's one called Smirnoff vodka. and it's made from potatoes. But it's made in South Africa, I think, from potatoes. And whereas the Russian vodka is different. It's made from wheat, if I'm not mistaken. And it tastes different, and also it's a bit thicker. So when you put it in the fridge, it's much thicker. And Russian vodka is much better for me, and our vodka, not so good.
As for me, I don't like vodka. Very strong drink.
Too strong. But now and then for the cold, maybe minus 20 degrees, I suppose vodka is good.
One more thing concerning our relations, I mean Russian and the West. Last years, we are discussing this issue about the hateness between, not between us, but the hateness which Europeans and Americans were providing against Russians.
Yeah.
And we think that maybe the reason is that Russia, during all of its history, is a kind of alternative to this big Western world.
Yes.
Because we are Christian, but another Christian.
Yes. Yes.
Another kind of Christianity, Orthodox Christianity, and a little bit different. And maybe this is the main reason that they can't live with us in agreement and so on. What do you think?
I think you might be right. When you go back, I think it's a little bit more than 1,000 years ago, there was the big schism between Catholic religion and Orthodox Christian religion, which is now Russia's main religion, and Catholicism, which is Europe's main religion.
I'm very sorry, one more notice, because nowadays, for example, when people from other countries are looking at Europe or at the United States, what do they see? This LGBT and so on and so on, and most of them, they don't like it.
Yeah.
But in these circumstances, Russia is an alternative.
It is. You're absolutely correct. And when that religious split happened over 1,000 years ago, it created an alternative. But remember, it came from the same core a long time ago. So the West created this hatefulness towards Russia because they know Russians are not stupid. They can see what is happening. So they create propaganda. But their own people that are being repressed now they do have an alternative. They can now come to Russia and start a new life. If you feel you're being persecuted by this new religion called LGBTQ, new liberalism, new globalism, people that are still conservative in Europe, and there are many people that are still conservative in Australia, New Zealand, all the first world countries, including Europe and America and Canada and North America, those people now have the opportunity to become, which is very strange, refugees if they want, and they can come to Russia with their families if they feel they're being persecuted. And especially with the schooling system in the West, all this LGBTQ stuff is being forced down parents. It's being forced down on the children. They must learn this, they must learn that. And in Russia, I understand the education system is very different. And I think that gives a much better alternative for good quality family values, again, for Western people to try and restart in Russia. And it's also very clever of Russia to offer Westerners this, because you can bring the talent and the skill of those people as well to Russia and make Russia a great, great country.
But we're in Russia now. We don't like to say the truth. Our modern educational system.
I don't know. I haven't explored it.
It was much more better. So we need to make a new reform.
Yeah. I think maybe some of those conservative Western people can bring some of their ideas in the educational system. Those with the core good family values can bring those values to Russia and help with the education.
Yes, it's okay with traditional values, but we are talking about the Safrovization of some parts of educational system, and most of Russian people don't like this.
Okay.
Why? Because we need, first of all, communication between peoples without any screens and so on.
Yeah, yeah.
It works much more better better if we are talking about education?
Yeah, education. And education is a very complicated thing because you're raising a child from a baby to an adult, and that educational foundation needs to be right from the beginning. And I don't know your country's educational system, so I won't comment. I'll just ask people what it's like.
So we have questions to our educational system, but we try to make it better.
Yeah, try to make it better.
Now we are in process.
We're in the process. You say it was better before.
So, in conclusion, a little bit of Russian philosophy. Leo Tolstoy, do you know this writer? I think.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
So, he has such a profound phrase in his memories. If the strength of bad people is that they unite, then good people need to do the same in order to become a force. How would you interpret this phrase in today's realities? What can we, good people who advocate a multipolar world, do to become a force?
A force. Talk, engage, talk more, engage more, and form a plan. And that's what we're doing now. This Global Digital Forum we've been at, and I'm very thankful for the Russian government for inviting us as well. This gives us the opportunity to explore your country, see your culture, and then engage and see what you're doing. And then we can go back home and try and do the same and see how it's done. And then also invite Russians to Namibia. Specifically, I'm focusing on Namibia because I'm a Namibian citizen. I'd like to see more Russian tourism. I'd like to see more Russian business, more Russian engagement in Namibia, because I feel we can work with Russians. I think we can work with the Russians and the Russian government. Russia has so much to offer, from mining expertise, farming expertise, mineral expertise, oil production, amongst many other things, including nuclear power. I think Namibia is far off from reaching that. It might take another 30 years, but all of these technologies are possible. And I think if we unite and work together, and this is the start of it, according to Tolstoy, just work together, keep on talking, keep on engaging, keep on sitting around the table, sharing ideas. And that will slowly build a force and see if those values align. And I think the most important thing, they say, whether it's for a government or a marriage or whatever kind of organization, if you're working together, if your value systems align, then it works. If your value systems don't align, then it doesn't work. And that's why Europe and Russia is at odds, because their value systems don't align. And I think if we can just align our value systems, each country from the south and the global north, which is Russia and Southern Africa, and I think we have very similar value systems. And I think cooperation between Russia and Namibia is the best idea for Namibia and also for Russia. We've got many things to offer to Russia, and Russia has even more to offer for Namibia. So working together will make that force greater.
I think you can be sure that this is a tango which we would like to dance together.
You're welcome. I think we'll
have and enjoy.
Namibians will have a little bit of practice with that, because when I look at how you presented your forum, we still have a little bit of practice to get there, but we'll dance the tango.
Thank you very much for this very interesting conversation.
Thank you very much, Anna. It's a great honor to be on your show. I enjoyed it very much. I was very surprised, and also thank you very much to the Russian government for inviting us, and all the Russian organizations. We are enormously thankful to be in Russia. And Russia, you're a great country. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you for your kind words, and we hope to see you soon in Russia.
Yeah, I'll come again next time for holiday.
Bye.
Bye.
Zvezda Holding presents Dynamic Spectrum Talks now.